categorically at this particular point of time, Arvind Kejriwal would be released on bail and they would be now furnishing a bail bond of rupees 10 lakh. However, certain conditions have been imposed on the Delhi Chief Minister with regards to how he would operate once he is out. He cannot comment on this case, and very clearly at this point of time, this is a big win coming in for both the Delhi Chief Minister and in fact the Aam Aadmi Party as well.
You're watching continuing coverage of the big relief coming in for the Chief Minister. Saurabh Bhardwaj of the Aam Aadmi Party speaking. Listen in.
मुख्यमंत्री के ऊपर ये कंडीशंस लगाई गई हैं कि वो सचिवालय नहीं जा सकते, फाइलें साइन नहीं कर सकते, मेरी समझ के बाहर है.
Viewers, they were holding their breath. But luckily, Kejriwal's inner circle, his wife, the ever dependable comrade in arms, Manish Sisodia, and Mantri extraordinaire, Atishi, didn't have to wait too long. Within a few minutes of the court assembling, the two-judge bench awarded bail to the Delhi Chief Minister. The Supreme Court, as I told you, viewers, had been hearing this matter for some time now. Kejriwal's petition, in fact, seeking this relief, bail to be specific. And now ahead of the Haryana elections, he has walked out of jail, and we have just seen those pictures of him coming out of jail. Viewers, Kejriwal was arrested by the CBI in June. And the CBI arrest was timed to the court granting Kejriwal bail in the ED case. As high fives rang out, the judges gave the embattled party even more to cheer. It slammed the CBI for the timing of the arrest and for carrying out the action only to frustrate the bail granted by a lower court in connection with a parallel enforcement directorate case. The only saving grace, viewers, for the CBI was that its arrest was not deemed illegal. They said that yes, the CBI did follow procedure, though the timing was suspect. In a nod to the UPA era, the phrase, quote, caged parrot, unquote, was also bandied about by the Supreme Court justices. The Supreme Court noting that CBI must dispel the notion of being a caged parrot and must show it is an uncaged parrot. Mixing metaphors, the Supreme Court also counseled that the CBI shouldn't be like Caesar's wife, above suspicion. Let me quote you exactly what the Supreme Court said, viewers, today. It said, perception also matters, and CBI must dispel the notion of being a caged parrot and must show it is an uncaged parrot. CBI should be like Caesar's wife, above suspicion, unquote. It went on to say, CBI did not feel the need to arrest him, that is Mr. Kejriwal, even though he was interrogated in March 2023. And it was only after his ED arrest was stayed that the CBI became active and sought custody of Mr. Kejriwal, unquote. It went on to say, the CBI felt no need of arrest for over 22 months. Such action by the CBI raises serious questions on the timing of the arrest, and such an arrest by CBI was only to frustrate the bail granted in the ED case, unquote. But even as the Supreme Court was staring into the CBI, it decided to suddenly turn its attention to Chief Minister Kejriwal. The Supreme Court began by stalling any attempt by the AAP to set the public narrative in its favor by denying the Chief Minister the right to speak about the case. So if you heard today when he came out of jail, and you can see him in his blue shirt, he said, look, I don't want to talk about the case too much, but in life, God has always helped me out when I've been in trouble because I am always honest and I follow the just path. He hasn't gone into the merits of the case. His party, however, of course, has been suggesting that the truth has won, that his bail is an indication that he is innocent. But the Supreme Court perhaps preempted this, views. Then went beyond it ordered Kejriwal not to visit his office or the Delhi Secretariat and to not even sign any official file unless absolutely necessary to obtain the Lieutenant Governor's sanction. In other words, the Supreme Court granted Kejriwal liberty but denied him his office, underlining that he is still a suspect and that bail isn't a clean chit. In fact, it is possible that the Supreme Court was perhaps guided by what other courts have said about the charges against Kejriwal. Let me run you through what Mr. Kejriwal has been accused of, or when the courts didn't exactly believe that there was no case against Mr. Kejriwal. So, at one point, the court said appellant's arrest by CBI was permissible in the light of the trial court's order dated June 25th, 2024. It went on to say, do not find any merit in appellant's contention that CBI failed to comply with set procedures, which has been upheld today by the Supreme Court, by the way, viewers. The appellant's arrest does not suffer from procedural infirmity, plea on non-compliance merits rejection. And there have been other instances in the past when the Supreme Court itself and the High Court itself perused the material brought before it by the agencies to say that, look, there is a case against Mr. Kejriwal and we cannot dismiss the case out of hand. Now, viewers, a chief minister at large is for all practical purposes administratively lame duck. If he isn't trusted by the court to conduct himself with a measure of propriety and integrity when in office, why should the taxpayer believe he can be trusted to serve them? Think about it, viewers. Mr. Kejriwal is out. He, in any case, never really held any cabinet portfolio, so to speak. But there are decisions that need to be taken on which his signature is needed. Now, he doesn't even have to attend office because he's barred from doing so. He can't enter the secretariat. You could always argue that files can be brought to his house and he can sort of peruse them, this, that, the other. But beyond that, he really can't do very much. The file will go again to the LG. And remember, viewers, at one time, the Chief Minister didn't really deem it even necessary to sign on those files. And the LG had to remind him that in half a dozen or more cases, or perhaps even more cases, he hadn't signed on certain governmental orders. And he was required to do so. The LG thought it quite strange. Now, viewers, he will sit at home. He will perhaps go out there and campaign in Haryana, which he can do. He'll probably pay the martyr. The BJP will hope that Kejriwal will undercut the Congress vote in Haryana. One doesn't quite know whether that will happen or not. But viewers, he gets to travel free, he gets to get his salary, he gets to live in a palace that he calls his home. He will have liveried staff looking after him. He will get all the perks, viewers, all the perks. Free bijli, pani, travel, this, that, the other, fuel. But who's going to carry the can, viewers, for him not doing very much? It's all of us, the taxpayer. We are going to carry the can for this. Which prompts us to ask, shouldn't the Chief Minister just step aside? Let someone else do the job. Once he's acquitted and so forth, he can always come back. Precedent exists of this. Let's open this up, viewers. Let's not keep you from the debaters. But that's Mr. Kejriwal there, right in the middle of your screens. Let me remind you, he was freed about 45 minutes back. He came out of jail, Victor's lap. He's waving his hands. He's delighted. He thinks this is a great exoneration. Is it really? As I said, let's open this up, viewers. Let's go straight across to our guests. Let's ask some pointed questions. Let me begin. Can we have our guests? That's right. There we are. Wise minds tonight. People who know what they're going to be saying. So viewers, you should all pay attention. And I'm going to play the perfect moderator. Not going to take any sides. I've said what I had to say. Dr. Ranganathan and Dr. Raman. Let me begin with you, Dr. Raman. Dr. Raman, is this an exoneration? can the AAP now go around claiming that, look, yes, we've, really sort of won this matter and Modi is, vindictive and so forth? Or should we hold our horses on that account? Yes, the CBI has got a bit of a rap. It's obviously acted like a cage parrot or worse. I don't know why the Supreme Court doesn't have a vocabulary beyond the parrot. 15 years have passed, they could have come up with better words. I know a few. But nonetheless, Dr. Raman, what do you make of this?
Rahul, I don't think this is any more an exoneration of Mr. Kejriwal than the fact that he was denied bail being proof of his guilt. All along what was said, you kept saying, no, court has not given bail, court has not given bail, therefore there must be something, they must have found prima facie evidence. All of this was said all along. Now that they have given bail, neither was that correct nor is this correct. He has not been given bail for a variety of reasons. Now he has been given bail. Neither of them makes him either guilty or innocent, and he remains innocent until proven guilty, because that is the law of the land, period. Now, the point really is we have to go into slightly more detail about the rap, quote unquote, the slight rap for the CBI that you have mentioned. It is not a slight rap. Now, clearly, it is not going to have any impact on the present CBI, and everybody knows that for reasons which are well known, is hardly going to make an iota of difference. They are going to continue in their good old ways. The point is really that Mr. Kejriwal should have been out long ago. Everyone knows that. In fact, the judgment itself sort of alludes to that. You wanted to keep him in prison deliberately, and that is why on the day before his bail in the ED case comes, the CBI jumps in. The CBI did not want him for all the period prior to that. So come on, Rahul, there's got to be some logic in all these actions. And it is crystal clear from the rap that the court has given that the CBI has been asked some very difficult questions. It's not going to make a difference to them. That's a separate issue. But at least the court has been willing to place it on record that the actions of the CBI have not been above board. Now, that is the bottom line. Mr. Kejriwal remains innocent until he is convicted by a court of law. That is the law of the land. And again, I reiterate, all those who kept saying that he was guilty because the court did, or alluded saying that he must be guilty because the court has not given him bail. Now,
but Dr.
today,
Raman, to be honest, this principle you didn't apply.
No,
1 second. To Mr. Modi in 2019, I remember having debates with you when we were, on another channel, and on the Rafale matter and all of that. You said, I've been reading the Hindu dedicatedly.
Not at all.
And look at what the Hindu is saying, and you used to hold up the paper and used to say, this Hindu has got it all right. Kick this person out.
Anybody can say, no, not at all.
You said it, I remember.
There needs to be an inquiry. That's all I said. There needs to be an inquiry.
You didn't. I remember you saying that Chaukidar Chor hai, the slogan is applicable and it will have a damaging impact, sir.
No, I have never ever said somebody is guilty on the basis of allegations. All I have consistently said is you need to have an impartial inquiry to find out if somebody is guilty or innocent. Right. And I maintain that is my position, whether it is Rafale, whether it is Pegasus, whether it is Adani.
Now, I think viewers, we are missing the nub of this issue. Look, I mean, yes, we cannot sideline the fact that the CBI has got a right royal ticking off. No doubt about it. It's always been caged. We probably know this, viewers. I don't think anyone's being fooled. But what I can't understand, Dr. Raman, is that the Supreme Court doesn't trust a chief minister from attending his office. Clearly,
not at all, Rahul.
Clearly,
it is common sense. Common sense.
What is common
sense? What is he been accused of? He has been accused in the Delhi liquor policy case. Are we agreed on that?
Yeah. I mean,
where are the documents about the Delhi liquor policy case? They are likely to be with the CBI, with the ED. There could still be some evidence which could be.
There can't be any more evidence. I'll tell you that office has been raided so many times.
Then you have to tell them.
Unless they're going now the CBI out of a sense of real.
Logically, they don't want.
Dr. Raman, we've even got
potentially be tampered.
There is no evidence left there. My point is, viewers, the Supreme Court doesn't trust the chief minister.
This is common
They're saying
sense.
you cannot go to your office, you can't go to your secretary, don't even begin to sign a file. Now, Dr. Ranganathan, I think, that kind of puts this entire matter in a very different perspective. And I don't know why you and I, citizens of, the lovely city, Delhi, have to now sort of shell out, our rupees. God knows how much all this legal, hiring of all these top great lawyers, etc., has cost the exchequer and me, actually, and you. Now we have to also, gardening leave he's got in a matter of speaking.
Good evening, Rahul, on this wonderful historic day where Mr. Kejriwal, the savior of Delhi, as Miss Sanju Verma, can you please hold on to that laughter yet? No, look, I think when the Supreme Court said, Mr. Kejriwal, we are giving you bail, but you dare not go to your office, you dare not visit the secretariat, you dare not sign any file. Mr. Kejriwal must have said, my lord, that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years, so what's new? No, look, the fact of the matter is, as you said it, let me kind of disentangle the two issues. The first one is, of course, the independence of the CBI. The second one is the bail to Mr. Kejriwal and the strictures that have been put, directives have been put by the Supreme Court. Let me handle the second one first. You are absolutely right. If a sitting chief minister who's been in jail, who's come out of jail, of course, he is innocent until proven guilty. And it is another matter that, as Dr. Sumant Raman said, I have never presumed anyone guilty without investigation. If there is one person who presumed everyone guilty without investigation, it was Mr. Kejriwal. The irony just died there. But the fact of the matter is, how can he be a chief minister of one of the biggest cities of the world, which has 31 million population? How can he be governing this city when he cannot sign a file, when he cannot visit an office? There and then his counsel, I don't know who his counsel is, would have said, under such circumstances, my client can no longer be or act as the chief minister. That is what propriety would have suggested. And this is not the government or Modi saying you cannot sign any file, you cannot visit your office. If it's the Supreme Court saying it, your morality and ethics should dictate the fact that you should resign as a chief minister. That's the least one can do. So that's point number one. Point number two about the independence of CBI. Well, I've said this before and I hold absolutely true to it. The CBI is not independent. And I can hear Ms. Sanju Verma already kind of, talking about the quote-unquote phrase monkey balancing when it comes to it. Be that as it may, I'm prepared to withstand her onslaught. But I have to say this, that all that has happened is that the shoulder has changed. The shoulder right now is of Narendra Modi. The parrot is exactly the same. And it was the BJP and the late Mr. Arun Jaitley who vowed. In fact, he gave a momentous speech in the Rajya Sabha talking about how the CBI needs to change. 7 points he gave, which would give independence to the CBI. But the moment BJP came to power, nothing changed. So, yes, the CBI is a caged parrot. There is no doubt about it. The third important point that I'd like to say, the Supreme Court goes on and on about how the bail should be a rule and jail should be an exception. If you remember, 3 years ago, the ED so-called draconian acts where the bail has to be in the rarest of rare cases, it was ratified by the same Supreme Court 3-judge bench. So all the 3 points point to the fact that, of course, something improper has happened and it continues to happen until Mr. Kejriwal remains as the chief minister who can no longer sign a file, who can no longer go to office.
Of course, in its flip-flops views, I remember there was this massive press conference. 4 of these justices came out. And on this manicured lawn, they arranged the chairs and they sat and all the cameras crowded in. And I remember that there were certain top journalists who also landed up there with their mics in hand, and they said, we're going to change the roster system and this and that, and bench fixing goes on. And had they had a whip, they would have started flagellating themselves there. But obviously, viewers, nothing changes. In fact, it's exactly as it were. I can't talk about parrots there. So, the Supreme Court can use all these epithets to describe all the other parrots, but, there are quite a few who sit on the line in that same manner every morning like sparrows do. But that's a different matter. viewers. I'm not getting into here the duplicity or the non-duplicity or the double speak or the non-double speak of the Supreme Court. I'm not getting into all of that. Sanju Verma, I need to ask you, this parrot, when will you make it into a condor? Let it go fly, wave its wings, and then do something that will make all of us proud. That's the question.
You know, Rahul, first and foremost, let me say this to Mr. Ranganathan. I'm not going to call him a monkey balancer. Let the audience decide. And, I'm a bit surprised. Mr. Ranganathan is a free speech absolutist. On a lighter note, अभी संजू वर्मा यदि हंस रही है, तो आपको क्यों दिक्कत हो रही है? Because I know on various debates, on various channels, the opposition these days, if I raise my finger, why is she raising a finger? Why is she raising a hand? Why is she smiling? Why is she laughing? Why did she speak for 2 minutes and 10 seconds? I got only 2 minutes and 9 seconds. I mean, that is the kind of paranoia. I'm sure Mr. Ranganathan is not paranoid of me. But now let me come to the moot point of the debate. The moot point of the debate is this. This is not Sanju Verma speaking. I want to take your audience to a very important judgment of April 2023. Abhishek Manu Singhvi was the one who was actually fighting on behalf of 14 opposition parties, and there were 241 petitions. It was a 3-judge bench led by Justice Khanvilkar. The other 2 were Justice Maheshwari and Justice C.T. Ravi Kumar. And I'll tell you what, and the discussion was about whether process has become punishment under the Modi government, which is what was the allegation made by Abhishek Manu Singhvi on behalf of India's debilitated opposition, and whether the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI are working at the incumbent government's behest and have become authoritarian. I'm reading out very quickly, because if you believe today's judgment, there's no reason why you should not believe the April 2023 judgment by Justice Khanvilkar, where he says, the court upholds the validity of Section 3, which is basically the definition of money laundering. It upholds Section 5 of the PMLA, which pertains to attachment of property. It upholds Section 8(4) of the PMLA, which is about taking possession of the attached property. Section 17 of PMLA pertaining to search and seizure of assets. Section 19, which pertains to powers of making an arrest. Section 24, which talks about reverse burden of proof. Section 44, which is about offences which can be tried by a special court as far as PMLA offences are concerned. And the most important one, Justice Khanvilkar upheld Section 45 of the PMLA, which basically says that in PMLA cases, the case is automatically A, cognizable, B, non-bailable, and 3, bail is the exception and jail is the norm. So while Justice Ujjwal Bhuiya may call the CBI a caged parrot, and whether it's a caged parrot, a Siberian crane, a red-headed vulture, or a white-backed vulture, that is up for debate. But I know one thing, that Justice Surya Kant made a very pertinent observation, which Kejriwal's Darbaris should listen on Rahul Shiv Shankar's show. Okay, Justice Surya Kant clearly said that Section 41(3) of the CRPC pertaining to legality of arrest is not under dispute, which basically means that Kejriwal's arrest was never illegal to start with. So for you to sit here, when I say you, I mean the entire opposition and people who are, very quick to do this monkey balancing, saying, "अरे BJP के दौरान भी तो caged parrot थी, अब भी तो वही हाल है." Let me tell you, the legality of Arvind Kejriwal's arrest is not under dispute or discussion. The only thing which I gather, despite, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist or a lawyer, basic common sense tells you what Justice Ujjwal Bhuiya also said, is that since the trial has gone on for now more than 4.5 months, because remember, he was arrested by the ED on March 21st,
okay,
and then the CBI arrest came on June 26th. So let him be out on bail. That does not mean that the guy is innocent.
No,
that
we are not. Yeah, I think that has been established. But let me just come back to you, Sanju Verma. 1 second. Let me come back to you. No, you see, look, आपको भी थोड़ा chronology समझना पड़ेगा. This is what Justice Bhuiyan has said. Justice Bhuiyan has said there's a problem here. I'm not, you're right, I even made that point that look, the CBI has not been found guilty of breaking procedure in arresting Mr. Kejriwal. All that has been upheld. But the chronology tells you something slightly different. It says that look, for more than a year, the CBI, after having questioned this man, did not do anything. But when a lower court decided to give him bail on merit, then the CBI suddenly woke up and said, oh my God, the real cage parrot is going to get out. And once he gets out, then there will be a problem. So let's quickly go after him and quickly arrest him. And that is the timing that is being held up as being not suggestive of the CBI going by the book, in a manner of speaking. That's what's really upset the Supreme Court. But I have to say this, that the CBI should have not acted in this manner, because this is why today people are saying that it is a cage parrot. And very quickly, Sanju, because I have to also bring in Piyush Joshi, I want your response on this. The chronology. Why did it wait?
You know, Rahul, I will just say this to you.
Yeah.
You know, we can sit here and debate about the chronology, but finally, I'm also a politician, you know, though I think I have my mind and my heart in the right place. I just have to say this to you. I think CBI was a caged parrot when, you know, Sohrabuddin Sheikh, he was killed on the 26th of November 2005. And despite that, it took 13 years for Amit Shah to get a clean check from the Supreme Court in 2018. The CBI was a caged parrot when after the Gujarat riots of 2002, it took 20 years for Narendra Modi to get a clean chit in June 2022 from the Supreme Court.
Be that as it may.
CBI was a caged parrot. 1 minute. When the Babri Masjid was demolished in 1992, after 28 years in 2020, Uma Bharti, L.K. Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi were given a clean check. So I don't want to sit here and take bhashan from Arvind Kejriwal's retailers कि भाई आपके दौरान में भी CBI is a cage parrot. No, the CBI is doing its job, and if the Supreme Court, without being offensive, has a problem, let them say that they do not believe in Section 45 of the PMLA, Section 19 of the PMLA, and Section 51 of the PMLA, because these are the three provisions which pertain to the fact that in PMLA, bail is the exception and jail is the law.
Well, ma'am, if the case had been really strong, now I can sort of say then he shouldn't have got bail in the first place, even by the lower court. But clearly something is missing there. But nonetheless, 1 minute. My point is, your responses, you know, slightly now leverage on the side of whataboutery. What about? No. Today we are talking about what the court has said. And look, I have not used this. No retainer of Kejriwal has used this phrase, cage parrot. But nonetheless, Joshi Saab, now let me come to you. You know, I've given everyone equal time and I'll give you equal time. Please answer the question. Fine, you can today focus on the CBI, whether it's a cage parrot or a bald eagle or what have you, or a vulture. My point is that why hasn't Mr. Kejriwal been allowed to attend office? What is it about his integrity that the Supreme Court has called specifically into question? And we must then ask ourselves, if the man is not trusted fundamentally by the Supreme Court, why should the people of Delhi trust him? And that's the question, sir.
Well, Rahulji, it's a valid question. And I think the Honorable Supreme Court...
पहली दफा आपने ऐसा कुछ अच्छा बोला है मेरे बारे में.
नहीं, मैं हमेशा अच्छा ही बोलता हूँ साहब. It's only a matter of perception, you know. We all have our own identities and ideologies, and we align our thinking in accordance with that. So, nevertheless, I you know, even I was wondering, if you are granting him bail, if you are allowing him to work as a chief minister, why don't you go ahead and allow him to attend his office? So that is something which is frankly puzzling me as well. And either he remains a chief minister or he does not remain a chief minister. If he remains a chief minister, if the Supreme Court is saying that it is perfectly legal for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to function as the chief minister of the state of Delhi, then allow him to go to office, or just ask him to resign simply, give a directive. And if you're not giving a directive, then allow him to attend office and allow him to perform his duties as the chief minister of the state. Nevertheless, I'm not going to get into the legalities of the matter, whether it is the bail or whether it was his arrest. I am particularly relieved as an Aam Aadmi Party supporter.
No, that's fine. But you said nevertheless. I think you should be saying all the more. All the more he should quit then. Kejriwal should quit. This is not nevertheless. This is all the more. All the more Kejriwal then should take the hint and quit. Mr. Joshi, I asked Sanju Verma direct questions. I'm asking you. You are finding it puzzling. Maybe, sir, the Supreme Court is gently telling a other member of a constitutionally occupied position that, look, bud, I don't think it's making sense for you to go to office. Give somebody else charge. Now, I mean, I can draw from our own newsroom's example. If supposing tomorrow someone is held up for some crime in the newsroom and they are told, no, you can actually come to the one floor but not this floor, it would be seen as moral impugnment. Come on.
I understood the point. It's a matter of propriety,
Yeah.
And when you talk about the matter of propriety, the propriety comes from your own belief of innocence or your own belief of guilt. If you genuinely believe
it doesn't come from there.
No crime, then
it doesn't come from there. This is the Supreme Court we are talking about. They have actually gone into this matter. Now,
Rahul, I understood your point. Just allow me to complete and then you can counter me, right? Because Arvind Kejriwal believes that he has done nothing wrong and he is a fighter by character, so he is going to fight it out. For me, the good thing about Aam Aadmi Party is that the two top guns are out, both Kejriwalji and Sisodia, and it's been almost 2 years that either of them was behind bars. So both of them are out. They have a lot to work upon. They have a lot to sort out.
No, Mr. Joshi, that's immaterial. You see, all what you're saying, this is not something.
All the more material.
No, this is not something that, look, every person believes they're innocent. No one ever. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in. Yes, okay, go ahead.
No, but with due respect, I think my good friend Dr. Joshi does have a point, and I'll explain why. We all know very well that all politicians and all political parties have the moral aptitude or morality of, I don't want to name the animal here, but you get the point.
Yeah.
They have to be directed. So, yes, I agree with him. We all know the morality and ethics of Arvind Kejriwal. Let's not even go there. The point is, it is on the Supreme Court to have said that, look, when we are not trusting you to even sign a file, and as Chief Minister, you would have to sign hundreds of files every day. You can no longer be a Chief Minister. Likewise, the onus, because BJP is or any other party is never going to make CBI or any investigative agency independent. It is on what is stopping the Supreme Court for saying that, look, the CBI and all investigating agencies have to be independent. So, I agree with you.
Under which law?
Under which law? So, okay, no, you're right. Dr. Aman, you're right. You're right. That's what I'm saying. One constitutional post holder cannot just be given marching orders.
Just a small counter to what
But let me tell you, viewers, now I'm asking you a question. What designation should we give Mr. Kejriwal? Slightly on a flippant note, because I'm moving on. Should he be Chief Minister at large or should he be largely Chief Minister? Now, I will leave it. This is bizarre, viewers. We can have a little smile about it, but remember that the joke is on you, actually. All of you who are watching this show. Chief Minister at large, largely Chief Minister, you decide. But viewers, you're carrying the can. Today is a very strange day because crackers are going off. And just 2 days back, Team Kejriwal had come out with an order saying that nobody from 2 days ago, up till the new year, can light a cracker. Now, viewers, exceptionalism everywhere. Those are the crackers, viewers. You're not allowed to light crackers. Chief Minister and his team are allowed to light crackers. Boris Johnson, viewers, when he broke COVID protocols, he was shown the door. This is a contempt that the Aam Aadmi Party has for its own proclamations. Forget about, viewers, anything else. So I'm just leaving this with you. Would you like largely a CM or would you like a CM at large? And if you don't agree with any of these two definitions, then maybe you should stand up and say, we don't want you. Put somebody else in who can do the job. Come back once you've cleared your name, no problems. I want to move on, viewers, because we have a serious story. A mosque in Mandya turned into a staging ground for stone pelters hell-bent upon disturbing the peace. No sooner did a procession carrying the idol of Lord Ganpati pass the mosque, a hail of stones were pelted on the devotees. The unprovoked incident, at least that's what we are being told, it's an allegedly unprovoked incident, led to fiery clashes in the town, and the Karnataka government has had to react urgently. Dozens have been arrested. The local police boss has been transferred, and as a precaution, some exams, very consequential ones, have been postponed. Viewers, devotees were headed for idol immersion, as it happens in Mandya. Stones were pelted at this procession, reportedly from a nearby mosque, which has now, of course, been confirmed. The procession was stopped at a police station demanding justice. They all said, look, we can't have this. Clashes erupted after the stone pelting because the police response was not, according to some reports, up to the mark. So frustrated devotees then decided to take matters into their own hands. There was a lathi charge. Shops were set on fire. Vehicles were torched. Very condemnable, all of this, viewers. 3 policemen were also injured. Then Section 144 is imposed. But when asked whether the violence was pre-planned, the state's Home Minister, Mr. G. Parmeshwar, has been ordered, and once the report comes, things will be known. But he also controversially implied that the reason for the attack on the procession was not communal in nature. He said, and I quote, what happened in Nagamangal, a town, is not an incident of communal clash. It is an incident which took place accidentally. So basically, viewers, stones that were lying in the masjid started popping out one by one on their own and fell on these poor processionists. He went on to add, the stone pelting incident took place during the procession for Ganesh idol immersion. 2 groups clashed with each other. During the clash, bikes and shops were torched. One pelted stones when Ganesh Visarjan procession was taking place. In turn, another group also pelted stones. There is no loss of life in the incident. Presently, additional police are deputed to the spot. The police have arrested 52 persons in connection with the incident, and ASI has also been injured in the violence. No one should pursue politics in this, unquote. But when you go out there and suggest that this is not a communal attack born out of hate, etc., then, sir, you're politicizing it, with all due respect. Though the minister lashed out at his adversaries for twisting his words out of proportion to paint the Congress into a corner, for this isn't the first time. Viewers, let me also tell you this, that whatever Mr. Parmeshwar said, this isn't the first time that a puja procession has been attacked in the recent past. Ganesh Chaturthi procession in Ratlam in Madhya Pradesh on the 7th of September this year, a procession that was carrying an idol of Lord Ganesha was pelted stones at in the Mochipura area of Ratlam. The police vehicle was also damaged in the incident and heavy security was deployed. Then there was a Durga idol immersion procession in Chhapra, Bihar. This was last year in October. And that also, viewers, was an attack when the procession was passing through a minority-dominated area. At least 6 people were injured. Shri Ram Shobha Yatra in Darbhanga, Bihar. A Muslim mob pelted stones at the Shri Ram Shobha Yatra on January 22, 2024. That was the day the Ram temple was inaugurated earlier this year. Then just recently, a few days back, once again, a Ganesh Utsav Pandal in Surat was targeted by stone pelting mobs. These incidents prompt us to ask, are there no-go zones for Hindus in certain pockets of our country? And is this acceptable? Let's ask this question. Let me open this up. Abdul Razak, what's going on?
Sir, the entire state, all the nakabandis, the police stations, the checkposts, the outposts, they're totally around 906. Each and every corner of the state celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi in a very, very grand and a peaceful way, except for this place. Rahul, please understand, in a very short time from now, there is a very high profile election that is going to happen. The Chanpatna seat, which is just 70 kilometers away from this. Now the BJP, RSS, JDS together want to make a point, they want to prove a point that they want to consolidate the Hindu votes.
Okay.
For that reason, these kind
so
of
they put the stones in the mosque, and those stones like popcorn started popping.
No,
and they fell on this procession.
Rahulji, don't believe in rumors. It is not written anywhere. Mosque is not a place where we keep arms and ammunition. No stones are kept inside the mosque. This did not come from inside the mosque. These people gathered outside the mosque and they were shouting Jai Shri Ram slogans. The police requested them for 20 minutes not to provoke. Move on. Yes, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri
Why
Ram
does it,
slogans were being chanted.
the God comes into their bodies and soul right in front of the masjid.
Okay.
Let them go to any corner and shout.
Okay, Mr. Khan, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Provoking people out there.
Let me ask you a question.
They were requested to move.
Let me ask you a
Move
question.
from there.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, sir. Are you suggesting that Jai Shri Ram is a provocative slogan?
Sir, I am not saying that. What I am trying
You
to tell you
said
is,
they chanted Jai
when you are
Shri Ram,
taking
so
out
they
the
were,
possession,
so people started
please
targeting them. They were
celebrate.
provoking these people.
Sir, please celebrate. Nobody in the country will object you.
So viewers,
but standing right in front
if you
of the
chant Jai
masjid,
Shri Ram,
looking at these people,
okay,
beating the drums
okay, very
loudly,
quickly,
dancing there right in front of the masjid.
right? So it's not allowed. You
We
can't
have to
do that,
understand
is
the
it?
intention, Rahul.
You can't do that. You can't take a
We have to
procession
understand
in
the
any
intentions.
minority-dominated area because for some reason, Jai Shri Ram and even perhaps the sight of devotees and an idol becomes a provocation. Is that what you're saying to me, sir? That's what I'm getting.
Purposely, deliberately wanted
No,
to
Rahul.
create
Okay,
a
yes.
scene.
I need to
Yes,
come in
yes,
here.
yes,
They
come in.
succeeded
Ms.
in
Verma
doing
wants
so.
to come in. Okay, let's listen
Thank
to Ms.
you.
Verma and then Dr. Ranganathan. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I did not heckle Mr. Abdul Razak, so I hope he'll extend the courtesy. Very quickly, I just have this to say. Be it the violence during the Shobha Yatra in Nanded and Malegaon in 2021, when Uddhav Thackeray was the chief minister, or be it the Shobha Yatra at Karauli in Rajasthan, when Ashok Gehlot of the Congress was the chief minister, or for that matter, very recently in April 2024, the violence at Ram Navami under the incompetent nose of Mamata Banerjee. What is common? There is one common factor. You can say, Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza sartan se juda, sartan se juda. You can sing slogans about Nara-e-Takbir and Ghazwa-e-Hind. But in a country with 80% Hindu population, if you celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi with gaiety and festivity and pomp and with gay abandon, if you're saying Jai Shri Ram, if you're wearing our sacred kalwa, or you're putting vibhuti on your head, or you're putting your sacred janeyu, तो आपको कहा जाता है you are an Islamophobic bigot. I think it's time for sane Muslims, because I know I have many Muslim friends who are very sane. I want them to understand that the BJP, RSS, VHP, Bajrang Dal are not anti-Muslims. We are anti-radical Islamists. And I think there is a very thin difference between following your religion and being intolerant of other people's religion.
Okay.
आप कहते हो during Ganesh Chaturthi, why did the people who were celebrating the Ganesh Chaturthi, उनको नाच गाना करने की क्या जरूरत थी? डीजे लाने की क्या जरूरत थी? जोर जोर से जय श्री राम बोलने की क्या जरूरत थी? When you have your Muharram procession, you carry your Muharram procession with knives, with swords, with weapons. तभी हमने आपको कहा है, you should celebrate Muharram like this. You should celebrate Ramzan like this. You should celebrate Eid al-Zuha like this.
Okay.
You should celebrate Eid al-Fitr like this. My last point. This time the Bombay Stock Exchange was closed during Muharram. But Bombay Stock Exchange was not closed during Raksha Bandhan and Ram Navami. Yet we Hindus don't play victim card. You Muslims play victim card. And when I say you Muslims, I mean the radical Islamist variety.
Okay. Well, we've drawn a distinction, viewers. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Rahul, many issues have been discussed and two caveats have been thrown in by one of your panelists. One is that Hindus were being provocative, and the second is that this is an absolutely exceptional incident. This doesn't happen. Let me demolish both these arguments one by one. I think it is high time that, Rahul, we talked of real discrimination. So you tell me, is it discrimination against Muslims or against Hindus when hundreds of Ram Navami, not just one, not exception, almost a rule, hundreds of Ram Navami, Hanuman Jayanti, Ganesh Chaturthi, Durga Puja, even Garba celebrations and processions are attacked and stoned with impunity? Is it discrimination against Muslims or against Hindus when Muslims are shouting from mosque they will behead Nupur and all those who oppose Azan and Hijab? Or when Muslims are pouring onto the streets demanding beheading of Kajal Hindustani? Or when Muslims are gathering in their thousands for the funeral of terrorist Yaqub Memon? Or when Muslims are rioting in the streets because someone's Facebook post said Aurangzeb was a mass murderer? Is it discrimination against Muslims or against Hindus? When sitting Prime Minister says minorities have the first right to resources? Is it discrimination against Muslims when Kashmiri Hindus are forced to be refugees in their own land, where one can settle 40,000 Rohingya Muslims but not 7 lakh Kashmiri Hindus, the land's original inhabitants, where the judiciary says it is too late to prosecute those who raped, murdered, ethnically cleansed lakhs of Hindus? Rahul, is it discrimination against Muslims when Hindu temples are exclusively controlled by the state? When Hindus have to beg for Waqf land to celebrate their festival while government usurps hundreds of thousands of acres of temple land and is responsible for more than 100,000 temples losing lakhs of crores in rental income? And second, stop blaming Hindus by saying they provoked the Muslims by making their religious processions through quote-unquote Muslim areas or pass through near mosques. The essence of Azan, which is quote, there is no God but Allah and no one has the right to be worshipped but Allah 4062 unquote, amplified through the loudspeaker 5 times a day, whole year round near a temple, is not provocative. But celebrating Ram Navami on Ganesh Chaturthi and singing Bhajban Ramcharan Sukhdai one day in a year near a mosque is, kaisi baatein kar rahe hain?
Viewers, let me also tell you that in Bangladesh recently an order was passed. And the order says that pujas should stop during Azan. Now, are we chapter and verse copying that kind of discrimination and bringing it here? And Dr. Ranganathan, I can't understand why this is not being talked of in the terms of a communal incident. It's being called an accidental clash. So it will go down in the books under Congress rule as an accidental clash.
No, absolutely. Somebody accidentally turned up and accidentally picked up a rock and started throwing it accidentally, as we've seen tens of thousands of times happening in Kashmir. It was all an accident. But Rahul, what are we going here? We are missing the woods for the trees. You've recently seen, and in fact, I was there on your panel when we talked about and debated about the brouhaha in Himachal Pradesh and Shimla, that mosque. Let me tell you, the process is irreversible. In Jammu and Kashmir, a Muslim majority country, I beg your pardon, Muslim majority state or union territory, in Jammu and Kashmir, you have one mosque for 1,300 Muslims. In Himachal Pradesh, you have one mosque for 300 Muslims. Do you know what's going to happen 30 years from now to Himachal? The process is irreversible. So let's, I don't know whether we have opened our eyes or our politicians have shut them. The process is irreversible all the world around. You can't change it.
No, but I mean, do we have a problem with mosques coming up in, I mean, no one should have a problem with a mosque coming up. I mean, I'm not understanding what you're trying to say, Dr. Ranganath.
What I'm trying to say is
yeah, 1 second.
Yeah. Slowly when demography shifts, and it shifts in 2 ways.
Okay.
One, the Muslim population increases dramatically, and second, the Hindus are driven out, as they've happened in Valley, in Kairana, and so many other places. 2 things happen, and you've seen it all around, even Kashmir, where you have Sharia law being propagated by the chief minister saying that stoning should be a punishment, or in Jharkhand, where hundreds of schools now have a holiday instead of Sunday or Friday. Things change. Attacks start happening against homosexuals. Slowly rules build up. And the whole structure, characteristic of a society, of how laws which should be promulgated change.
Okay, look, I mean, fundamentally, I have no problem in Muslims living in any particular area of this country, viewers. We don't have a problem as long as they conform to the law of the land. Here, viewers, that has not happened. And that raises questions, as I'm saying, that does one community have a veto over how the other celebrates its festivals or customs, etc. Yes, very quickly, Sanju Verma, very quickly.
Yes. I just have, I think Mr. Ranganathan made a very important point. I want to add to that.
Okay.
We have about 100 to 110 crore Hindus, and we have only 6.5 lakh temples. We have about 18 to 20 crore Muslims, and we have 2 lakh mosques.
Yeah,
so look at the ratio of mosques per Muslim and the number of temples per Hindu in India. But the last point is this: I think the biggest problem is when educated Muslims give intellectual cover fire to radical Islam. I think therein lies the problem, because educated Muslims
here's the
are
time
not
to
able
speak up.
distinguish.
Here's the time to speak up. Please, I'll leave it at this, Mr. Razak. Look, yes. Leave it at this, please. Let's just leave it at this. Let's not have more on this, because fundamentally, viewers, the only submission to be made here is that one community cannot have a veto of another community's beliefs. We leave it at this, viewers.
दूसरी बेंच ने ये कंडीशंस लगाई हैं, इसलिए इसके ऊपर हम ज़्यादा टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहते हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की आज का ये जो फैसला है, मुझे लगता है कि केंद्र सरकार के अंदर आज अगर थोड़ी सी भी गैरत हो तो केंद्र सरकार के गृह मंत्री को इस्तीफा दे देना चाहिए। गृह मंत्रालय के अधीन सीबीआई आती है। कोर्ट ने साफ तौर पे कह दिया कि देश की प्रीमियर एजेंसी बदले की भावना से, कपट छल से काम कर रही है। मुझे लगता है गृह मंत्री को एक दिन भी अपनी सीट पे रहने का हक खत्म हो गया।
किस तरीके से स्वागत करेंगे? तो शर्तें रखी गई हैं, उन रेस्ट्रिक्शंस को खत्म करने के लिए भी आप लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे?
बाकी अभी मैं अंदर
स्वागत कैसे करेंगे? प्रधानमंत्री के लिए क्या कहेंगे? प्रधानमंत्री के लिए क्या कहेंगे? प्रधानमंत्री के लिए क्या कहेंगे?
अभी मनीष जी के घर जा रहा हूँ। मनीष जी जो है,
मतलब सवाल उनके मुख्यमंत्री दफ्तर अटेंड करने को लेकर उठाए जा सकते हैं, लेकिन आम आदमी पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय संयोजक के रूप में उनकी भूमिका का नकार है।
नेचुरल सी बात है, क्योंकि देखिए वैसे भी मैं तो बार बार ही बात कहता रहा हूं कि एक काल्पनिक सार्वजनिक शराब घोटाले को बना करके आपने हमारे सारे नेताओं को अंदर रखा, चाहे मनीष जी हों, संजय जी हों, अरविंद जी हों। आखिरकार सर्वोच्च न्यायालय से न्याय मिली, हमारे नेता सारे बाहर आए और भाजपा के सारे अरमान अब धूमिल हो जाएंगे।
जिनको गिरफ्तार करने के लिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने हजारों तरह की कुचक्र रचे, हजारों तरह की साजिशें रची। एक कट्टर ईमानदार आदमी को, काम करने वाले आदमी को, जनता के दर्द की, जनता की जिंदगी को संवारने के लिए जो काम कर रहा था, उनको उठा के जेल में डाला। इससे बड़ा पाप लोकतंत्र के इतिहास में नहीं हुआ। आज ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट को हम नमन करते हैं, उनको सलाम करते हैं, उनका धन्यवाद करते हैं। हम इस देश के संविधान का धन्यवाद करते हैं, बाबा साहब का धन्यवाद करते हैं, जिनके बदौलत आज सच्चाई की जीत हुई है। और ये खाली सच्चाई की जीत की बात नहीं है, झूठ भी एक्सपोज हुआ है। जिस तरह से आज ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ऑब्जर्वेशन दी गई, कहा गया कि केजरीवाल जी को ईडी की रिहाई से रोकने के लिए सीबीआई का पूरा गिरफ्तारी का मामला रचा गया। हम बार बार कह रहे थे, सिंघवी साहब ने, हमारे जो सीनियर एडवोकेट थे, उन्होंने ऑनरेबल कोर्ट के सामने बार बार ये शब्द दोहराया कि ये इंश्योरेंस अरेस्ट था, ये किसी गलत काम के लिए अरेस्ट नहीं किया गया था, कोई करप्शन के लिए अरेस्ट नहीं किया गया था। भारतीय जनता पार्टी चुनाव में नहीं जीत पाती, पार्टी को नहीं तोड़ पाती, तो एक इंश्योरेंस अरेस्ट किया गया कि इस आदमी को जेल में डाल दो तो इनकी पार्टी टूट जाएगी, इनकी सरकारें ध्वस्त हो जाएंगी। लेकिन मैं बाबा साहब को और संविधान को याद करते हुए, धन्यवाद करते हुए, ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट को धन्यवाद करते हुए, सिंघवी साहब का धन्यवाद करते हुए, आम आदमी पार्टी के एक एक कार्यकर्ता, एक एक लीडर, एमएलए, एमपी, सबको भी बधाई देना चाहता हूं, धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि ऐसे संकट के समय में जब भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपनी पूरी ताकत के साथ, अपने पूरे कुचक्करों के साथ उनको कुचलने की कोशिश कर रही थी, वो टूटे नहीं, हटे नहीं, झुके नहीं, सच्चाई के साथ लड़े रहे। सच्चाई की जीत हुई है, हम बहुत खुश हैं। आने वाले समय में इससे और सच्चाई के लिए लड़ने वालों को ताकत मिलेगी। बात सिर्फ केजरीवाल जी की नहीं है, जो भी आदमी सच्चाई के लिए लड़ रहा है उसको ताकत मिलेगी। ये हमारे सबके लिए बहुत भावुक पल है। हमारे बड़े भाई, हमारे मित्र, हमारे गुरु केजरीवाल जी, जिनको इस तरह से अंदर डाला गया जेल में, सबके लिए बहुत दुखद क्षण था। एक एक कार्यकर्ता के लिए बहुत दुखद क्षण था। लोग रोए हैं उनके लिए, इस बात के लिए लोग रोए हैं। लोगों ने प्रार्थनाएं की हैं, लोगों ने दुआएं की हैं, उनकी आज दुआएं सफल हुई हैं। मैं उनको भी धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। मैं ईश्वर को भी धन्यवाद करता हूं कि उन्होंने हमारी
कार्यक्रम बता दीजिए सर, अब आगे किस तरह से कार्यक्रम करेंगे, क्या कार्यक्रम रहेगा?
अभी पूरी लीगल प्रोसेस होगी। ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश के अनुसार जिस तरह का लीगल बॉन्ड वगैरह है, उसके बाद में वहाँ से एक बार सारी फॉर्मेलिटीज़ पूरी होने के बाद में हमारे वकील जैसे हमें निर्देशित करेंगे। फिलहाल हम अभी सभी मित्र लोग, सभी पार्टी के लोग, कुछ लोग मेरे साथ में, हम लोग साथ में थे। अभी हम केजरीवाल जी के घर जाएंगे, उनकी माताजी जो हम सबकी माताजी हैं, आदरणीय हैं, उनके आशीर्वाद लेंगे, पिताजी का आशीर्वाद लेंगे, भाभी जी के साथ मिलेंगे। अभी हम वहाँ जा रहे हैं।
तो ये देखिए मनीष सिसोदिया और आतिशी यहाँ पर जश्न मना रहे हैं, मिठाई खिला रहे हैं एक दूसरे को। ये तस्वीर जिसका इंतजार आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता एक लंबे समय से कर रहे थे। मनीष जी क्या कहना चाहेंगे जिस तरह से
लेकिन ये सच्चाई की जीत होती है तो उत्साह भी आता है।
Two states at the crossroads of change. In Jammu and Kashmir, the stakes have never been higher. Will the promise of peace and progress prevail? In Haryana, as the fight for power intensifies, will alliances and caste equations shape the future? As the battle for states intensifies, tracking every twist, every turn, and every key moment, only on Battle for the States.
That he said that, the victory is of the Aam Aadmi Party, and with this order, they stand vindicated. In fact, he's saying कि ये जो order आया है और जो victory हुई है, जो release हुई है, first Manish Sisodia, then Arvind Kejriwal की उत्साह अब बढ़ गई है. The Aam Aadmi Party clearly jubilant, as you can see there. They are in a celebratory mode, and it's very important to note here what is really going to be the consequences of this big order. You have the Haryana elections coming. Aam Aadmi Party extremely confident of fighting these elections on its own without getting into an alliance with the Congress party. They've already released the list of candidates, and Haryana also belongs to be the state of the Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. What is going to be the impact of that? We're going to speak about all of these issues, the political ramifications, and really the emphasis of this order.
This was the quite expected, and with the way we argued this matter, the Justice Bhuyan has categorically said they won the arrest is completely illegal. The manner which the arrest has been made is illegal. The haste in which the CBI has arrested once he was granted bail by the trial court shows that there was a mala fide, there was a ill intention, and the old proverb which has been said in the earlier court judgment of the cage parrot is reiterated by the court today.
Definitely, the one point that you had been raising before the trial court, before the High Court, that it was an insurance arrest, that had been stamped by Justice Bhuyan. And how do you see this legal system?
This is a great victory, and what from the day first we have been saying that the manner after the in the ED case he was granted bail and the CBI has arrested him just to keep him custody for the long period, and the Justice Bhuyan has said that this was wrong. The manner in which the CBI arrested Arvind Kejriwal raises a serious question on the premier investigation, so-called premier investigation of this country.
Last and final question before I let you go, whether or not, just for a clarity for our viewers, can he sign files or visit the CM office?
Till now we are waiting for the order, because there was an other view has been taken by Justin Bhuyan, but there was a double bench already have put those conditions. So for now I think that condition will remain unless it has been modified.
So this was in fact Rishikesh Kumar, who is the lawyer for Arvind Kejriwal. Remember that he has been the stepping stone when it comes to Arvind Kejriwal's legal strategy from the trial court till the topmost court of the country. Dr. Singhvi might have come in, but Rishikesh Kumar was one of those who had been since there, and they have been drafting these legal strategies, and definitely it is a big win coming in for the Aam Aadmi Party lawyers as well, who had been fighting this battle for a long time. They have been saying that this was an insurance arrest. And while the Central Bureau of Investigation had, denied all of those allegations since the very beginning, but by, the dissenting opinion of Justice Bhuyan on the aspect of necessity to arrest, it has been very, very clearly clarified by the Supreme Court, or by, in fact, the judgment of Justice Bhuyan, that this was nothing more than an insurance arrest.
The Delhi Chief Minister has been granted bail by the Supreme Court, historic decision by the Supreme Court as we speak, also setting the tone for politics as it will play out in both Delhi and Haryana. They've delivered their verdict.
And categorically, it's a big order coming in, that too much in favor of the Delhi Chief Minister. CBI being castigated, being called again a caged parrot, and the Justice Bhuyan completely going out to say that the CBI should act above board and not act as a caged parrot. So very clearly and categorically at this particular point of time, Arvind Kejriwal would be released on bail, and they would be now furnishing a bail bond of rupees 10 lakh. However, certain conditions have been imposed on the Delhi Chief Minister with regards to how he would operate once he is out. He cannot comment on this case, and very clearly at this point of time, this is a big win coming in for both the Delhi Chief Minister and in fact the Aam Aadmi Party as well.
You're watching continuing coverage of the big relief coming in for the Chief Minister. Saurabh Bhardwaj of the Aam Aadmi Party speaking. Listen in.
मुख्यमंत्री के ऊपर ये कंडीशंस लगाई गई हैं कि वो सचिवालय नहीं जा सकते, फाइलें साइन नहीं कर सकते, मेरी समझ के बाहर है, मगर क्योंकि दूसरी बेंच ने ये कंडीशंस लगाई हैं इसलिए इसके ऊपर हम ज़्यादा टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहते हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की आज का ये जो फैसला है, मुझे लगता है कि केंद्र सरकार के अंदर आज अगर थोड़ी सी भी गैरत हो तो केंद्र सरकार के गृह मंत्री को इस्तीफा दे देना चाहिए। गृह मंत्रालय के अधीन सीबीआई आती है। कोर्ट ने साफ तौर पे कह दिया कि देश की प्रीमियर एजेंसी बदले की भावना से, कपट छल से काम कर रही है। मुझे लगता है गृह मंत्री को एक दिन भी अपनी सीट पे रहने का हक खत्म हो गया है।
किस तरीके से स्वागत करेंगे? जो शर्तें रखी गई हैं उन रेस्ट्रिक्शंस को खत्म करने के लिए भी आप लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे?
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. Ladies and gentlemen, we turn the spotlight towards the state of Manipur. Our top focus, and we'll do a deep dive. We'll show you pictures, we'll show you images that have not been shown till now on national television. Images, footages, reality that nobody is actually talking about, and there is a reason why we are putting the spotlight on Manipur, because for over a year the situation in the state has been practically out of control with ethnic clashes. Agencies not being able to understand the weaponization situation or the level of weaponization and what is actually happening.